Hey there! Today, we're going to dive into a grammar tense that, I know, sounds super complicated. But trust me, it's actually a secret weapon for telling really amazing stories. It's called the past perfect continuous, and it lets you tell a story that happened before your main story. Ready? Let's break it down.
All right, so first things first. To really get why this tense is so useful, you gotta understand the problem it's built to solve. It's a specific kind of storytelling puzzle.
Just think about this for a second. You're telling a story, right? Something that happened yesterday. But to make sense of it, you need to explain what was already happening, what was going on for a while right before that main event. How do you even say that? Well, guess what? English has a special tool just for this exact situation.
And that special tool is the past perfect continuous. Yep. Its whole job is to set the scene, to explain what had been happening just before the main action kicks in.
So let's look at the official definition here. It's all about a sequence of events, a chain reaction in the past. You've got this ongoing action, something that's been happening for a while, and then it gets interrupted, or it just stops right before another key thing happens. You can think of it as the background action, the backstory.
Okay, I know. The name past perfect continuous sounds like a mouthful. It sounds really academic and scary. But the way you actually build a sentence with it, it's ridiculously simple. Seriously, it's a piece of cake.
Just look at this. It's like a three-step recipe, and it's foolproof. First, you start with your subject. I, you, he, she, whatever. Step 2, you always add had been. This part never ever changes, which is awesome. And then, step 3, you just grab your main verb and slap an ing on the end. Working, crying, living, you name it. That's it. Subject, had been, verb ing. Simple.
So the formula is easy, right? But to really see the magic, we need to look at it in action. Let's map out a couple of examples on a timeline. This is where it's all gonna click.
Okay, check out this sentence. When she came to the door, I could tell she had been crying. So you see, there are two things that happened in the past, right? She came to the door and the fact that she had been crying. The question is, which one was the background story?
And boom, here's the timeline that makes it so clear. See that long line? That's the crying. It was this continuous action happening in the background. It was going on, then it stopped. And that's when the main event happened. She came to the door. The tense tells us that whole backstory in just 3 little words, had been crying. It's so efficient.
All right, let's try another one. This time with an action that happened over a much longer period. And again, the timeline just lays it all out perfectly. The working part, that was the long 10-year continuous story. That was the story before the main story, and it all came to a screeching halt at that interruption point, the moment he was fired. See how that works?
Now this is a really important point. The difference here is subtle but powerful. You could just say, he had worked there, and that's fine. It tells us the job is finished, it focuses on the completion. But when you say he had been working there for 10 years, you're putting all the focus on the duration. You can almost feel those 10 long years. It gives the sentence a completely different weight, doesn't it?
Okay, so what if you want to say something didn't happen? How do you make this negative? Don't worry, it's probably the easiest change you'll ever have to make in English grammar.
Literally, all you do is pop the word not right after had. And, when we're actually speaking, we almost always squish that together to make hadn't. I hadn't been feeling well. The timeline idea is exactly the same. There was this continuous stretch of time where I wasn't feeling great, and that story ended when the main event happened. I finally went to the doctor.
All right, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? What do you absolutely need to remember about this tense?
Okay, remember these 3 things. First, you use this tense when you really want to emphasize the duration of an action that was happening in the background. Second, the formula is always the same and super easy. Subject plus had been plus your verb with ing. And finally, and this is a great little bonus, you don't have to memorize any of those crazy irregular past tense verbs. You just add ing. How easy is that? So, I'm going to leave you with a question to get you to use this right now. Seriously, think about it for a second. What had you been doing right before you decided to watch this? Maybe you had been scrolling online. Maybe you had been making coffee. Whatever your answer is, you just used the past perfect continuous. You just told a story before the story. Pretty cool, right?